This is The Rational Male. It's a book written by the guy who's called the Godfather of the Red Pill. It's also the book that Andrew Tate gets most of his dating advice from. And you guys were able to guess that from my last video about Andrew Tate. It's also a book that's changed my life when I was 20 years old. So in this video, I'm sharing the most important red pill truths that guys learn too late. Let's begin. 1. Iris, the soulmate myth. The soulmate myth is this idea that we all have one soulmate on this earth and our job in life is to find that soulmate. We've all been fed this myth, whether it's through Disney movies where the guy's goal is to climb a girl's hair for some reason, TV shows like How I Met Your Mother where the entire premise of the show is how a guy is trying to find his one and only girl. And there's no such thing more detrimental to a man than believing in this soulmate myth. Now, you might say,
are you crazy?
Are you saying true love doesn't exist? Don't try to shatter my reality. I understand you. The book literally describes people who are unable to accept this fact as people who are unable to unplug from the matrix. It differentiates guys between blue pill and red pill. And in order to accept this hard to believe truth, you have to go through the 5 stages because we've been fed this idea of a soulmate ever since we were children. It's so hard to shake off. But adopting this mentality leads you to putting her on a pedestal. You act as if she's so valuable and rare because she's literally your soulmate. There's only one of her on earth. Makes you ignore red flags or allow a girl to disrespect you. All of your actions now come from fear of losing the one and only. And the funny thing is that all these things actually push her away from you. When you put her on a pedestal, you actually devalue yourself. So the solution is there is no such thing as a soulmate. Think about all the people who got married to their soulmate only for her to divorce him, or worse than that, to die, and then for them to find a soulmate after and marry and live happily ever after. Think about the millions of guys that actually die alone without a soulmate.
What made you realize a girl wasn't the one?
I don't think I've ever had that realization. However, you do realize on some level everyone's replaceable. No matter how in love you are with a woman and you break up with them and you feel like you'll never get over them, yeah, you will. You know you will. And you'll find someone else who's quite different but has things you like more than you liked the one before.
So, not believing in the soulmate myth doesn't mean that love isn't true. It actually means that when you love someone, you love them for the real reasons, not because they are your soulmate and the only one and you can't be with anyone other than them. No, because this person is compatible with you and mutually respects you and gives you the things that you need from a person. So many guys who believe in the soulmate myth actually end up unaliving themselves because they believe that they've lost the only one for them. So there are good ones and there are bad ones, but there is no one. Plate spinning. So because someone can have one itis, which is basically over investing in one girl, the solution to that is something called plate spinning, entertaining multiple options or talking to multiple girls while not being exclusive with them. Now you're gonna tell me,
but Rami, isn't that freaking cheating? I'm not a cheater, you freaking misogynist.
one nice thing about the book is that it actually frowns upon people who cheat and lie about their lack of exclusivity. So you should never promise a girl exclusivity that you'll only be with her. Instead, you should try to have multiple options, especially in the early stages. Not only will that stop you from being overly invested in one girl who is your only source of everything you'd want from a girl, which makes you dependent on her, but it also creates something called competition anxiety. All of your actions now seem more confident and you become naturally more attractive because you're not afraid to lose any option because you have multiple ones. But most importantly, when it comes time for you to actually choose the girl from your options and become exclusive with her and go to an LTR or long-term relationship, the biggest difference is that you choose from strength, not from desperation.
All these dudes out here who are at home with their wife thinking they're loyal, you're not loyal. Loyalty is having options and returning to the same place, not only having one option. They're very different things. If I walk into the store and they only sell apples and I buy an apple, I'm not loyal to apples. I don't have a choice. Loyalty is walking in the store where they sell all the fruit. I buy apples 6 days a week. Occasionally I get a big fat pineapple and I go back to apples the day after. That's loyalty. Without choice, there's no loyalty. So most of these dudes and most women who say, he's loyal, he's lame and he can't get nothing else. That's not loyal. Loyal is a dude who has all those options and still is in love with you. That's what loyalty is.
Just so you know, he's actually talking about cheating, especially when he says, the 7th day on the week, I'm gonna get a big fat ass pineapple. And this is not what the book says, but it does highlight the importance of having options. When you have multiple options and choose from it, it actually makes a better decision. You're more convicted with the person that you are with. You're not just picking them because they were your only option and the only person you were able to get. Also, the book says that women are natural plate spinners. They naturally have multiple orbiters or guys who are trying to talk to them, and that's why they always have options, whereas men don't necessarily have that privilege. We all know about these dating apps where if a girl makes a profile, even if she has a picture of a freaking tree, she'll get more likes than most guys on dating apps. So I'm gonna use today's video sponsor Shortform to tell you the solution for that. If we go on the Rational Male, it tells you that you should postpone long-term relationships and focus on actually building your value. Delaying commitment will allow you to gain experience with many women so that you're better able to judge character and identify good female mating partners. And here, Shortform actually warns you and tells you that Tomassi's advice to postpone relationships could backfire, as some women avoid men who have never been in a long-term relationship. These women assume that perpetually single men are somehow damaged or unwilling to commit. So the book is telling you to stay away from long-term relationships and try to talk to girls just to understand what you really like. But Shortform is telling you that some girls fear guys who don't have long-term relationship experience because they feel like those guys are just trying to play with their feelings, basically. This is why reading a book on Shortform is such a nice thing. It's a service where you have access to so many books in so many different topics. For example, here's a category called relationships, and if we click on it, we see all these books that could help you in your dating life. You can read the book and so many others on Shortform right now if you use my link, because you'll get 5 days free and 20% off of your annual subscription. Thank you so much, Shortform, for sponsoring this video. Next red pill idea is frame is everything. Frame is an interesting red pill concept, and it's the idea that you live your life based on your own rules, your values, and your goals. When you get in a relationship or when you're talking to a girl, whether subconsciously or consciously, the girl is going to try to drag you out of your own frame or values. And your job as a red pill or high value man, such a cringe word now that it's been misused and overused, but your job is to maintain your frame. Let's say your goal is to build your business and you try to focus on it. The girl might say something like, if you really appreciate me, you'd spend more time with me. If you comply with her just because you want to avoid conflict, you've entered her frame. Or maybe your goal is literally to become Sam Sulek, someone who has a lot of muscles, and the girl you're talking to says, I don't really like guys who have that much muscle. If you stop going to the gym and change your goal, you've left your frame and entered her frame. But the problem is that once you relinquish your frame, once you leave it and let go of your values and goals, the book says that this is where attraction dies. Simply because the reason girls like guys is because they respect them, and that comes from a guy having direction and backbone. It allows a girl to trust your direction and your leadership. The fact that you have a clear vision for yourself and you're not willing to let it go for other people. And this is where the idea of shit tests comes in. And this is where a woman tests a man on whether or not he's willing to leave his frame for someone else. And this is not just a red pill misogynist idea. Psychologists study and talk about this. Shit tests most of the time are pretty mean. She's gonna be somewhat of a jerk to test your frame. She might say something like, I don't like the clothes that you're wearing. If you show your lack of confidence or change your clothes, you show lack of frame. She might say, my ex used to take me to better places. Can you believe this fucking... Okay, sorry. I gotta suppress my internalized misogyny. Someone who has frame would say, okay, go to him. He wouldn't tolerate the disrespect. But someone who doesn't have frame would get insecure and jealous. Here's an example.
Do you think she's wifey material by showing her boobs out?
Who? I mean, she's pretty fine. You know, I don't know about wifey material by showing her boobs.
Wifey material doesn't define what you're wearing. It's the type of person that you are.
Nah, true shit. Okay, I agree. But let's say if I was your boyfriend, I wouldn't like you to be wearing this shit.
But you're not getting, you're not. She's my girlfriend.
No, I'm not. That's why I don't give a fuck.
And I want my girlfriend to wear this. I think my girlfriend looks hot. I want my girl to go out like that.
So I agree. What is a guy gonna think when he sees this?
She a little spit.
I want my girl to go out and everybody be like, oh, she's hot.
Just thinking as a guy.
Excuse me? So you're calling me a
That's the way guys think.
So yes or no, are you calling me a
I am.
Wow.
That's the way guys think.
The fuck? My girlfriend.
Yeah, they don't know the way guys think.
You're small. So basically you're small.
So what if I'm small?
So if he had said, no, I'm not small. What's wrong with being small? Stop bullying me. That would have been a good example of losing his frame. But my boy is freaking alpha as fuck. I never miss a chance to tell you about when I was emo.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
I used to have a girlfriend, and I remember specifically her saying that I dress like kids. Keep in mind, this was like 16 years ago. But I specifically remember listening to her and feeling insecure about what I was wearing, and I changed my entire wardrobe the next day. Whereas if I had read this book or watched this video, I would have probably said, if you don't like it, you can fucking leave, bitch. You get what I'm saying? I should have maintained my frame. Next idea, misapplied deductive reasoning. So this is an important red pill idea, and it's the idea of not saying idea so many times. It's the concept of basing your actions on what girls say instead of actually watching their actions.
Women don't know what they want.
Ah, here we go.
They don't. Women think they want things and then they get them and they leave the dude. Women don't have a clue what they want. I want a guy who's sweet and sensitive and takes care of my needs and thinks about me, blah, blah, blah. They're all out there. None of you are with them. Why? Because women don't want that. Women don't actually want that. Women want to be with a man they respect. Women are only going to enjoy the time with and end up feeling in love with a man they genuinely respect.
I feel like I have to put a disclaimer every time I put a video of Andrew Tate, but he kind of cooked with this one. That is misapplied deductive reasoning. It happens when you apply logic to emotion-driven behavior. It aligns with the idea that you should never ask fish on how to catch them, only ask the fisher. This video's quality is degrading with time. Girls don't say that they want a nice guy that spends all their time with them because they're evil. It's simply because their behavior is guided by instinct rather than just by logic or consistency. And this also aligns with the identification myth, and it's the idea that if you make yourself more like the women you're trying to seduce, will make you more attractive. But what you don't realize is that attraction is built on polarity, not similarity. Hey yo, my 20-year-old female friend thought I was gay. I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm so mad. Is she joking with me? I have never once said I'm gay. The actual convo. Girl, I can't believe he would say that. Bitch, I know, it's crazy. Men. Girlie, we should go on a date soon. Yes, that'd be so nice. When are you thinking? Friday. I'm done with this. I've had a crush on you for a long time. I thought you were gay? Is this a joke? Lol. I wonder why she thought you were gay. So that is the identification myth. This is an extreme example for humor, but I know some of you do this. Sexual market value, or SMV. SMV is the idea that everybody in this world has a different rating, as if they are literally tomatoes and potatoes in a market that have different values. Some guys are tall, handsome, and have a lot of money. Some guys are lazy, never go to the gym, and are obese. Some women are smart and beautiful, while others cheat on others. And this can also change with location. For example, a lot of guys online complain about Western women, how they lack femininity or lack the traditional values, and those guys are called passport bros, and they literally travel to places like Eastern Europe, like Russia, or to South Asian countries like Thailand, simply to date in a different sexual marketplace where they can get girls that have a higher ranking, basically. Now, here's where we get into the misogyny. All the red pill guys are saying,
Rami, shut the fuck up about misogyny. Just tell us the freaking ideas.
The book tells you that men and women peak in their sexual market value in different periods of their lives. Because men are more appreciated for their leadership and their status and money, and also physical attraction, they pretty much generally peak when they're 35 years old. That's the time when you have the most amount of money, where you've had the most career success. And on the other hand, biologically, women are more valued based on their beauty, their fertility and ability to have kids, and their agreeableness. And the book tells you that women have the most amount of these characteristics in their younger years. So if you've ever seen a young woman with an older guy, this is basically just sexual market value working. And the book tells you that some women have developed social conditions to combat this, that older women who want to fight for their sexual market value basically create conditions where they discourage men from being with younger girls so that they could be with them instead. So even though the man and the woman are both adults who consent to being in a relationship, they still get criticized by society simply because the older women that are past their peak want to discourage men from dating these other girls that are considered more attractive and SMV. I don't necessarily agree with this chart. I don't think that the only reason you should be with a girl is because she's beautiful or she's more likely to have children. If you are with a girl who is beautiful but dumb as fuck and doesn't watch Ramiroy, I don't think you're going to enjoy your life. She's gonna be pretty boring. And I don't necessarily agree that the younger the girl is, the more agreeable she is. There are a lot of times where where girls who are older know what they want, whereas girls who are young want to experiment with other guys and understand what they want in life. So when you're with a younger girl, you might risk the girl feeling that grass is always greener on the other side syndrome because she doesn't have conviction with you. There's also a new study that shows that there's a shift now where men are valuing healthy relationships and relationships that don't have toxicity. So what I'm trying to say is that this idea of the SMV is not entirely accurate. Anyways, the next idea is the savior schema, also known as Captain Save a Hoe. Here's how it goes. You have this female friend who you always help out, whether it's through school or university, through psychology. You're pretty much her personal psychiatrist. You help her solve all of her problems because you're so wise. But then you tell her that you actually have feelings for her, and she replies, you're like a brother to me. I wish I can find a guy like you. And you're like, I'm a guy like me. And this basically happens because it's rooted in our psychology to problem solve. Some guys expect a woman to reciprocate intimacy in exchange for problem solving. But the world doesn't work like that. And this happens all the time. For example, here's this clip in Zombieland where this woman acts as if she lost her engagement ring. And this guy says,
I'll find your ring and I'll FedEx it to you.
I'll give you a reward.
Just give me your number. Yeah, I'll start looking for it right now. I was engaged once, but I'm single now.
Anyway, this guy gets scammed by this girl because she acts as if she found the ring, and he actually ends up buying it from her, and it's not worth $3,000. But he's so infatuated with the other girl and wants to give her his problem-solving skills so that she could reciprocate intimacy. And you might say, bruh, this is so obvious, I would never do that. But it could be less obvious. For example, maybe you're trying to help a girl unrack her weights, or even something as simple as giving a girl a seat. Now, before you freaking destroy me for saying that, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do these things, that you shouldn't help girls out. I'm saying that you should do it for the right reasons. Don't do it to get intimacy from her. Do it because you want to actually help. Because either way, if you're trying to do it because you want intimacy from her, most of the time it's not going to work, because attraction is not a transaction. A rule of thumb is, if you're not willing to do it for your guy friend, don't do it to get the female's attraction. Friends debt, or let's just be friends. You have a female friend who you're very interested in, but she doesn't feel the same attraction to you. If she outright rejects you and gets you out of her life, first, she's gonna lose your attention and your problem-solving skills, and second, she's gonna feel guilty for not liking you back and getting you out of her life. So, when she gives you the LJBF rejection and you actually accept it, she guarantees maintaining your problem-solving and attention as a friend, and by offering you her friendship, she absolves herself from feeling any guilt. And the book argues that if you actually accept the let's just be friends rejection, it's pretty much the same as losing a shit test. It tells you that you've pretty much devalued yourself to her and that she'll respect you less for doing so. If you get friend zoned, the best thing you can do is step away for a while, and if you still have that attraction for her, you can revisit the friendship after you've made this disassociation from your current state as a friend. There's a different, very important book about dating that I made a video about here, and don't forget to subscribe and check out short form in the links below. And I'll see you in the next one.